I'm back with Seema Hingorani and Alison Esposito Medina. Alison, in public life, women have achieved all kinds of things, very prominent roles. There's three women on the Supreme Court. There's 25% of Congress is now female. You probably don't regard that as enough, but it's certainly more than there has been. How important are those role models of women in very public positions for young women to give them the kind of inspiration that they need to succeed in their own lives?
I think it's really important. This is representation. If you need to be able to see it so that you can imagine yourself doing this. So it's important to have women representing in all of those areas.
And Seema, I should declare a very strong personal interest. I have 5 daughters, at least one of whom wants to be president of the United States. Perhaps I think maybe they all do. We haven't had a woman president in the United States. We've had a candidate who came quite close. How important is it, do you think, maybe that maybe as early as 2020 there'd be a woman on the ballot and maybe even a woman president?
Absolutely. I think it's about time.
Whatever you think, by the way, whatever you think of President Trump, I want to get this away. Obviously, one assumes he's going to be the candidate for the Republican Party, but on the Democratic side, you'd like to see a woman.
Absolutely. Why not? I mean, all over the world, there have been women in leadership positions. In the UK, there's women everywhere. In India, there have been female prime ministers. And in our country, yet we have still not had a female president.
It's curious, that, isn't it? Why do you think that is? It is quite unusual now, Alison.
Yeah, I think it's just people are used to seeing the same type of person fill the same type of role. It's actually the same thing that we struggle with in our own industries, and I think it's very similar too. There's that whole thing about the tallest person wins the presidency, and I always think about that. Well, like, are we going to get a really tall woman, or how are we going to break that? So there's these things that we're used to seeing, and I think that we need to just break out of what we think leadership looks like and what we think a president looks like. And
do you think that if we did get a woman president, I mean, would it make a difference in terms of policies as well as in terms of the symbolism? I mean, is there, again, setting aside what their actual politics may be, would a woman tackle the presidency and a big job like that differently from the 44 men who've done it so far?
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that.
What qualities would they bring that are different?
I mean, one, I believe that in the way women and men look at certain policies in the workplace, men just not having to have dealt with a lot of issues that women deal with in the workplace, I think that's just being sensitive and sympathetic. I think, when you're dealing with issues related to family paid leave, or related to issues of the gender pay gap. I mean, there's just a much more focus on that when you're a woman.
So, somebody very famous once said that men like to succeed in order to be something. Women like to succeed in order to do something. Do you think that's true, Alison?
I think that's true. I think women are very action-oriented, and I think women in politics can get a lot done. And I think they also are representing the people. So it's fair to have a woman president at a certain point because we're 50 or 51% of the population, so we should have that representation.
My thanks to my guests, 2 women there who are clearly making a difference.